I am Bugcatcher Kate, and welcome back to another exciting adventure in makeup. I am very glad that you're able to join me. On this episode, I'm going to be doing a look more or less recommended on my Instagram. I posted a photo of the Fade Into Hue palette by ColourPop. Just seeing if anyone had any recommendations for the next color or look that I should do, and one of my friends requested that I do something with all of the glitters. Well, the glitter gel formula is not highly pigmented. It's mostly just glitter with a really light color underneath. So I thought that I would do something utilizing more of the colors and then also use that for a little bit of pop. So I did decide to wear my favorite flannel for this. This shirt is older than me. My mom got it sometime in the 80s and gave it to me a couple years ago. It's my favorite because it's got so many fun colors on it. So the 4 colors on this, of course there's black as well, but we've got a red, a yellow, really bright teal, and then the color that is kind of hard to see is this really deep indigo. I don't have an indigo, but I do have this really nice cobalt, and I have this deep kind of plum, so I'm going to see if I can play with those to make that color. And I think that that's actually what I will start with. I'm going to do those for my brow. So as you can see, I have already done a base for this look. I wanted to make sure I had a clean face to start. I do have a little bit of blush on as well. Just to go over the products I used Maybelline Instant Age Rewinder concealer. I've taken the little spongy top off of it so I can utilize it with a brush better. But I used that as a concealer, and then the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in a powder, which is a mouthful. I used this for the matte finish on top of that as well. I don't feel like I'm particularly good at doing the base for my makeup, so I didn't want to waste a bunch of time going over it because I am really excited to do this look. So I have already put some concealer on my eyebrows, but to start, I want to put a little bit more just because this will make sure that the pigment shows up, because I am going to do a funky color. So I've just used this brush. I'm going to be utilizing this brush throughout the tutorial to put on concealer. So I'm just going to very lightly brush it across there. My eyebrows are not blonde naturally. You can see they're kind of a deep dark brown. So I just want to make sure that this covers up any of the little flyaways so we can get a really defined shape, and that it also gives something for the pigment for the powder to adhere to. So I'm going to set those down, and then I'm going to switch to a really thin fan brush because this is going to give me the definition to draw out the shape of my brows. Now, like I said, I don't have one color that's going to work exactly for what I am looking for. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of Iconic and a little bit more than that. And then I'm also going to pick up a little bit of Zeitgeist. And I'm going to very lightly fill in the general shape of this. I will line it eventually as well when the brush is moist. Just to make sure that I do get a really good definition on the brow there. So again, I'm just picking up both of those colors to try to mix them together to create a more of an indigo, which I think is actually, pardon me, is actually turning out really nicely. I think that it is toning down the cobalt just enough to make sure that it looks a little bit more purple. You can see I went out of the lines a little bit there, but that's why I want to line them later. Now I do want to make sure that I pick up a little bit more of that Iconic because I want to make sure that it is a really vibrant color, and most of the vibrancy is in that. I might even, just for fun, pick up a little bit of Majestic just to make sure, again, that that vibrancy is there. put a little bit of that on top of both of those. You can see where the little areas in my eyebrows are patchy, but we're gonna come back to that. For now, we're just gonna fill it in to get a little bit of color on there. Kind of the same reason I did my blush to start. I didn't want everything to look quite so flat. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a Q-tip really quickly and just go over the edge to define that arch. And make sure that there aren't any areas that have gone crazy. I'm going to do the same thing below. And then I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to do next? Because I don't want to fill in the brows anymore. I think I'm going to start with the lids. So to start with that, I'm actually going to switch to the main squeeze palette. The most red color in Fade into Hue is Paradise, and it has just a little more pink in it than I would like. I need something with just a little bit more orange. And rather than mix something, I'm actually just going to swap to this palette that I know has the perfect shade in it. I'm going to be using Home Slice. It does list on the back that a couple of these colors are not meant to be used by the immediate eye area, so just wanted to check that. Those are Like It's Hot and Baywatch. So I'm going to go ahead and use Home Slice, which is very lightly shimmered. It's like a really, again, a little bit pink, but it has a warmer undertone than the other one. Really rich kind of red. And then it has a little bit of an iridescent, deep kind of pinky rose glitter in there. So it's really pretty. Let me see. Now, to start this, I'm actually going to go back in with the concealer. And I want to make sure that the lines on this are really tight and really clean because I'm going to be using some really bold colors, but I want to make sure that it doesn't make a giant mess everywhere. So I'm going to lay down a little bit of concealer first as a little bit of a sticky kind of tacky base that will help keep the pigments in place. And I'm going to try to do the same thing on each eye as I work from the corner out, just to keep it really smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and start on that inner corner. And I do want to make sure that I am paying really close attention to the shape that I'm building, because like I said, this is going to create a tacky kind of texture that the pigment is going to really want to adhere to. So like this has kind of a chevron shape. If I don't want that, I need to clean it up because otherwise it's going to stick in that specific shape. Let's see. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, and I think to excuse me, I think to prevent that weird shape here, I'm just going to blend it out a little bit, and I'm going to be really careful not to get the pigment that high up, and I'm going to concentrate more on the corner of the eye. So I'm going to grab a brush. I really wanted to find another dense brush, but I only have the ones that I have. I needed one more, so I'm going to do something a little crazy and dangerous. I'm going to start out with this really fluffy brush, which is the opposite of what I just said about wanting to make really clean lines. But I'm just going to very lightly get the edge of it with the pigment, so I'm hopefully not picking too much up, and then I'm just very lightly going to pat it into the corner of my eye. Again, I want to concentrate on that inner edge, and I don't want to fluff it too far out. And I do also want to get a little bit of it in the on the underneath part, because I did bring that down. Oh, I missed a whole spot right there. All right, same thing. I want to layer it over here. You can see I picked a lot more pigment up on this side, so I need to make sure that I get it even. So I will just lay that in there very quickly. There we go. And I'm just going to stamp it really lightly just to make sure that it's really pressing into the crease there. Because I, again, want it to be really bold, but I don't want it to be super streaky. I want to make sure that I'm applying it evenly. Speaking of evenly, look at those two spots there. and make sure that I'm applying it really evenly and that the red isn't dominating. It's already gone way further over than I was intending. So before I do the yellow, let me clean this up a little bit, get some on the underneath. That was a terrible idea with that fluffy brush. I'm just gonna grab another Q-tip really quickly and just very lightly clean up this top edge a little bit because it got a little crazy. And then I am going to use this to blend out this edge because, again, I did not want the red to go quite so far out, so I want to make sure that it's not too harsh when I lay on the yellow. All right, let's take care of that. All right, that's not bad. It is still a little bit pink. I do wish it was a little bit deeper, a little bit more of a brick red, but I'm gonna call it good. For this look, it's perfect. So I want to go ahead and make sure that I grab a little bit more concealer and layer it into the center of my lid because this is where the yellow is going to go. Now I'm going to be cautious here because I really don't want this one to go too far up and become a big gloopy mess. So I want to make sure that as my eyes are open, I'm not going past my crease there, which you can tell because as I look up, if I was going past it, it'd be leaving the concealer up top there. I'm going to try to even these out a little bit. I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit, kind of make this a diagonal there. Hopefully the yellow will blend nicely. You can see I'm not doing a super even job here, which is of course the goal. I want to keep it as even as possible. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth. I've got a little too much product on here for what I'm trying to do, so I am going to wipe some of that off with a handy dandy paper towel square. And then just very lightly blend this out to make sure that there aren't any areas that are super tacky. Because if there are any spots that have way more product than another spot, it will pick it up in a strange way and leave kind of a clump, a thicker patch, which is really hard to get rid of once you've got it and is really obvious, I think. All right, so that's much nicer there. I was able to blend that out a little bit, and I'll be able to put a little bit more pigment in there to brighten that back up. But first, we're gonna go ahead and go to the star of our show, the Fade into Hue palette. I love this palette. All right, and then we do have, let's see, I've got a brush already. We do have several choices for the yellow. Lucky Charm is, first of all, it has a little more green in it than yellow, but this is one of those glitter gels, so it's not highly pigmented. It's mostly glitter, and we will use that later, but not yet. I think I want to do some combination of Abstract and Big Smile. I don't want to do too much Big Smile because it is looks like a very lightly shimmered kind of lemon yellow, with like yellow and maybe white glitter in it, whereas Abstract is just that like really deep, rich, like 70s yellow, with no shimmer in it at all. So I think I am going to start with that. So I'm going to be using this kind of flat brush, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough brushes to switch between the colors because although they are very pigmented, I don't want them to get muddied or not blend well, especially since, you know, I'm using yellow for one of them. And I don't really want to do an entire gradient. It's not the right word. I don't want to do the entire spectrum there because there's really not any orange in the shirt. There's really not blue. There's more indigo and teal, so I don't really want to do those. So I want to make sure that the colors are tight between each other and that I don't have too much blending going on. So you can see where I covered that area up with concealer. It is quite a bit lighter. I want to avoid getting the yellow over there because I am planning on covering that back up with the red to make sure that it shows. Oops, got a little too high up there. And then so far I have just been patting on abstract because this brush is a little bit longer and wider. I do have the luxury of just patting it on to follow the shape of my eyelid naturally. And I do think I want to bring the yellow over just a little bit more. All right, and then I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that big smile. We're just gonna very lightly lay it on top. Whoa, wow, that is a ton of shimmer. Okay, wow, all right, well that's gorgeous. Blowing out the brush to get all that extra glitter out, and I'm just very gently gonna blend the edges here to see how that looks. Again, I don't want to get it too far over here because I need to cover that up, but if I blend that top, that's pretty. That reminds me, oh my gosh, this makes me want snow cones, right? Yes, oh my gosh, I love that. All right, I'm gonna lean a little bit closer because it's a little hard for me to see. Ooh, that one's a little bit patchy. Pardon me. I'm gonna use the same Q-tip that I used to blend up there. I'm just gonna very lightly blend this kind of patchy spot. And then I do think it's time to go back in with a little more of the red. And I don't like that brush, the fluffy one. So I think I'm going to risk it because the yellow looks really nice, but I don't think it's going to need a ton more work. So let me just make sure it's really blended nicely. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to use the same brush, which is so dangerous because if I need to blend the yellow again, I'm gonna be in trouble. But I'm gonna use the same brush and grab more of the home slice. This is just gonna give me way better control. I should have started with this in the first place. I'm gonna dab that into the corner and very gently pull towards the yellow and move up towards my crease. Again, just to make sure that I've got enough pigment that it is showing up and I don't have any weird little patchy spots. There we go. Ooh, a little messy there, but I'm not too worried about it. Now I want to bring it down a little bit below, but I don't want it to go too far because I think that's really nice. I think that I want to do most of this with that kind of teal. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do the red. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the red and pull it down just a little bit into the inner corner and below the lash, or the lower lid, I guess below the lashes too. And I'm just switching back and forth to make sure that I'm not shaping one strangely because red is a very prominent color, and if I make an odd shape with it, it's going to change the shape of my nose up there. Basically like a funky contour. All right, now I'm going to switch back to the brush with the concealer. I'm just gonna check really quick to make sure the video's still going. It is. All right, the brush with the concealer, and I got a little too much, so I'm gonna take some of that off there. Oh, there you go. And I'm going to very lightly brush into the corner here. And I basically want to make a little triangle shape because again, I don't want to get too far into the yellow and muddy it. I want to make sure that it stays really bright. Ooh, that is really nice, though. I can feel that it's right on the edge there. This one I think is a little off. Oh, there we go. We gotta pull a little more product off there. See, it needs blending just a little bit. All right, clean the edge there with my finger. All right, I'm doing it. I'm going in. I'm so excited. All right, so I'm gonna switch to a rounded, dense, smaller brush. This one would also be good for the inner corner. but I didn't want to use something that wasn't flat for that middle portion, excuse me. And I am going to go in with bold type because I think it is just about perfect for that teal, which is probably my favorite color in the shirt. So I already put that down, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. Just swirl the brush lightly. Ooh, that's a lot of pigment. And then I'm going to start in this outer edge because I'm not sure how it's going to blend with the primer or the concealer. And I don't want to drop a heap of it onto the yellow if it's not actually going to blend. Oh, this is super cute. All right, tons of fallout from this, but I was expecting that. I went a little too high on that one. Gotta close my eyelid and make sure I'm getting in the crease there. Get in the crease there. Applying a lot more pressure than I thought I was going to be. That's a mess, but that's okay. I have just the thing. I have this makeup eraser. I think that's what it's called. I don't remember what brand makes this, but I will link to it below the video because this is what I use to wash my face every night. And there's a fluffy side that's for exfoliating, and then like a terry cloth side that's for getting the rest off. And just use water, and it's super nice. Oh, whew. I figured this would be a little bit easier than trying to go through Q-tips to fix it. All right, you see that gap right there? That needs some work. All right, we're gonna go in with the yellow, of course. I'm gonna use the same makeup eraser and try to get as much of the red off of that as I can because I knew I was going to need this. Now, I don't want to put any more concealer, but I do want to make sure that this goes on in a way that it will stick. So I'm going to very lightly wet the brush, and I am prepared this time with a little tiny Starbucks cup full of water. So no more licking my brush. All right, got a little bit of water and a little bit of cat hair. There we go, just a little bit of water, and I'm going to very lightly. Oh, I'm doing the wrong color. That's okay. We are going to continue with bold type with the wrong brush, but that's okay because the next step was actually going to be to go underneath here with bold type anyway. So while we're here, no muss, no fuss, don't be sad, spilt milk, etc., happy trees or whatever, happy mistakes. There we go. Ooh, I really like that teal color. That's so pretty. All right, so I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit since we're here anyway. Now that I have a dry pigment without the concealer, I can very lightly blend, which is pretty nice. All right, very lightly blend. Actually, what if I blend in towards the yellow? I might not need to do anything with that yellow. No. We'll be all right, I think. I'll still fix the yellow, but all right, so I do just want to pick up a little bit more of that to make sure I've got 100% coverage there. All right, and then now I'm going to clean this brush off and use it to pick up the yellow. Get all of that teal off of there. And then, so I'm going to pull all the little cat hairs off. All right, again, I'm going to dampen the brush lightly. So if you get these like water drops, too much. So I'm gonna shake that off. Just enough that it's got a little tiny bit of moisture there. And I'm going to pick up more of Abstract. I'm gonna go in light little circles there to pick up as much pigment on the damp surface as I can. And I'm going to use one side of the brush to layer over on this side. I'm going to use the other side of the brush to layer on this side. There we go. I love that. All right, make sure I get it into the crease there. Not too far up. And normally I would take whatever color I'm using in the lid and blend it pretty high onto the brow bone, but I'm absolutely not doing that this time, which is so fun. It's so neat to do something a little bit different. So I wet that again, and then I'm going to pick up Big Smile, and I'm actually going to try to do this just near the center to make a little glittery, fun pop towards the lash line. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, that's so much fun. Awesome. All right, so I am going to go ahead and pick up this little excess here that went too high up, because again, we just wanted that nice little triangle there. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to very lightly pick up some of that, but I do want to go in with a big fluffy brush and just very, very quickly brush off any of the fallout that has happened. And I am going to take this along there too, just to make sure that is fluffing out. Now I need to fix the edges of bold type now, so I'm going to go back in with the correct brush for bold type and just pick a little bit more of that up, because you can see it's started to fade a little bit there. I think that's where I might have gotten it damp and then not blended it well. Just a little bit more. You know, some days one eyelid just looks better than the other, and that's just the world we live in. It's like it does not want to blend right. All right, well, it's not perfect, but that's okay. We're gonna clean that brush off, and then I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush, and I'm just very lightly going to tap between those edges there to make sure that they are blended. Look at all that it picked up. Wow. This one in particular is not impressing me right here. See that? There's like a funny patchy spot. So I'm gonna get it a little bit damp, because that'll drive me crazy otherwise, and get a tiny bit of bold type. There we go. I think, yeah, there we go. Pull this out a little bit more towards the center. That's super fun and a little bit weird, but got a little bit more water on the edge for a bold type there, and then just pat a little bit more. I'm not sure why this one isn't sticking as well. I may have let the concealer dry just a little bit too much before putting that on, which would totally make sense. I am just brushing out the brushes here to make sure they aren't too pigmented. And then I am going to take a look. There's still something a little funny about this, so I'm gonna go ahead and very lightly wipe down the brow bone, because I want to do just a really soft nude on the brow bone, and then we're gonna go in with some of those glitters. But before that, I do want to make sure that I get a yellow, really vibrant and really bright underneath my eye. So wet the brush and then pick up a bunch of abstract. And then I just want to, oh, I hadn't actually gotten it wet. There we go. That should help. All right, just wanna, oh, there we go, yep. Just wanna layer it on there to make sure that we get that really nice pop of yellow. I know I said that I wanted to primarily focus on the teal underneath, but we can't forget that pretty yellow. All right, now my eyebrows just are not doing it for me. I'm going to go over them again with the Iconic because I think trying to make the indigo instead of just going for that bold blue just isn't going to pan out for this look. So I did wet it, and then I'm going and making really light brush strokes to mimic the hairs there, and going in and just filling in my natural brow shape, which is a little bit of an arch, but my the tip of my arch sometimes is very pointed and can look really aggressive. So I want to soften it out for this look. So I'm going to round out the very top part of the arch there. Again, we're going to pick up more of that Iconic and then make little hair strokes just to fill that in a little bit. Now, I do think that putting a little bit of the Zeitgeist in underneath has helped keep this from being way too pigmented. It keeps the brow looking almost natural, even though it's absolutely not at all a natural color. But I like that because I don't think I want them to be quite as vibrant as the color on the lids. All right, perfect. So now that I am done with that, I need to dry off this brush really quickly. I'm not sure what I want to do for the brow bone. I kind of want a neutral. So I'm going to switch very quickly to the Garden Variety palette because it has my favorite neutral in it, Deserted, and then also Wavelength. I think I'm going to go in with Deserted first. Same brush I used for the yellow, and I'm just going to pick up a bunch of that, and then I'm going to line the upper edge of my brow. Oh yeah, this is super nice. This is exactly what I wanted. Because I wanted a good base to make sure that the eyebrow stood out, and I could also very lightly blend into the edges of these colors. This is perfect. So I didn't want to use one of the other colors in the Fade into Hue palette because a lot of the lighter ones, the ones that I would have used are like the blues. And again, there just really aren't blues in the shirt. So I'm going with the Deserted and actually pulling it a little bit around the red on the inner corner. And that is just to draw a little bit of attention to it. It's highlighting around the edge of it. So we're gonna go up into the brow there. Oop, got a little bit messy, just wipe that off. Oop, it's going to need a little more maintenance than that. All right, brow bone here. Then again, just pulling it down to make sure that it's very lightly blending into those colors because I don't want a super harsh line. Wow, this is really fun. This is different than what I would normally do. And I haven't done a look like this in a really long time, if ever. Oops, took a little too much of that off. Got my handy dandy paper towel here. So I've got to be really careful around the edges here. There we go. Should probably just lean closer and pay attention when I'm doing the delicate work. I have a ring light coming. The next video should be higher quality, better lighting at least, if nothing else. All right, and then I'm going to switch back to that big fluffy brush, and I'm going to knock off all of the little bits of pigment that have fallen. Make sure my thing's still recording. This is super fun. I love this. All right, now we're going to get into the most important part of this look, the glitter. So I don't want to use the glitter from the Reds line because it's pink. It's way too pink to use with this. And I kind of don't even want to use So Precious because it's very orange. And again, there's no orange. Let's take a look though. No orange on the shirt. The thing about the glitter gels is they are, again, they're not really pigmented. So this might work because it has a really bright color, but I don't think that's right. I don't think I want the orange for this. I think I'm gonna go straight into Lucky Charm, which is the glitter in the yellow row, but it has quite a bit of green hints to it, which I kind of like. And then Kaleidoscope is, again, not a lot of blue in this look, but I do want to pick up some of that just to use at the tips of my brow as kind of an accent. So I guess the only glitter I'm actually using for the eyes is going to be Lucky Charm, which I hope isn't disappointing for my sweet Claire Bear. So I'm just going to use my finger to pick that up. And as you can see, as the light hits that, it also has a lot of orange in it. But gosh, I don't think there's any way to show you the other lighting, but the other way the light hits it, it's really green. So I'm just going to go in very lightly under the eye and pat this all the way out. Woo! That is gorgeous. I love this one because it has the same as Kaleidoscope. Actually, it has several different sizes of glitter, so you get that variation in the way that the light hits it. You can see these larger ones have that kind of green shimmer. That's super fun. I'm gonna go ahead and pick some more up, and then I want to lay it out the same way. Super cute. I love that. All right, I'm gonna find my paper towel. So I'm gonna wipe that off. I don't recommend using a brush for these because the glitter will live in that brush forever. If you don't mind and you want a brush made for that specific glitter, go to town, but I don't have enough brushes to do that. So I'm just gonna use my finger again. Ooh. All right, and this one again is called Kaleidoscope, and it actually has quite a bit of pigment under it, whereas the other ones didn't really have a color to the base. They were more of a clear or colorless pigment with just the glitter on it, but this does have quite a lot of blue. So I'm gonna use sparingly. I'm just gonna put it along the edge there. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. And then you can see all of that shimmery kind of blue purple is the pigment that was underneath. So I'm actually going to use that as a highlighter just at the very top here on the arch of my brow, and then blend it down a little bit. Wow, what do you think? I think this look is super fun. I love it. All right, I think I've only got a couple more steps here. I do want to make sure that my lips are moisturized, so I'm going to use a little bit of the Watermelon Burt's Bees. Just a little bit because I know I'm about to put another color on, but I want to make sure that they have time to get some moisture. Whew. Let's see. All right, I do want to, let's see, grab this. All right, so I want to do a couple things. I want to make sure that I brush away all of the fallout here from any of the color. And then I want to go in with my powder, the L'Oreal Paris Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation and Powder. And I just want to cover up a little bit underneath to make sure that my skin looks really nice, because I'm going to do my blush again because the colors in my eyes have kind of washed out the blush a little bit. Oh, that's not the right brush. So I want to make sure that it does show up because I want my cheeks to be rosy. I don't want to look like there's just a ton of makeup concentrated on my eyes, or a ton of color. So I'm going to use this angled brush and the NYX Sweet Cheeks Matte in Totally Chill. And I'm just going to lightly put on a little bit of that blush right at the cheekbone, the apple. Pick up a little bit more. Just put a little bit on there. Normally I would do a lot, and excuse me, Whew. Normally I would put on a lot more product and do these big sweeping motions, but because I know the glitter gel is over there, I don't want to end up getting a weird patchy spot where the pigment from the blush is stuck on top of the glitter gel. That's why I did the glitter last. Also, should have pointed that out. All right. And then the Colossal from Maybelline, my very favorite mascara. Gonna go ahead and start from the outer corner and just blink a couple times. I do want to get some black on my eyes and in this look, so I want to make sure that I have pretty dark mascara, and then I'm probably going to do a pretty thick eyeliner. If I thought I could pull it off, I would do a graphic eyeliner with, you know, following the cut crease and looking just amazing, but I'm not sure that I can do that because I'm only just learning how to do those crazy types of things, and I'm pretty clumsy. So you can see I am just blinking as I'm applying this from the outer corner and pulling in towards the nose. It feels really counterintuitive, but it actually helps add volume to the lashes. And then I want to make sure that I get my lower lashes, so I'm just really lightly going back and forth. It tickles. I don't like it. All right, and then we'll get some more on this side. Dun, dun, dun. Alrighty. That actually looks really nice. They filled out pretty well without having to do a bunch of coats. And then I'm switching to the eyeliner next. My very favorite eyeliner, NYX Matte Liquid Liner. Stuff is a lifesaver. All right, so if I can pull it off, I would like to do a little chunky liner that is basically just on the teal color, but I'm not sure, A, if I can do it, and B, if it'll pan out. But let's see. I already don't like it. So I'm gonna go a little ways into the yellow, like halfway. Ooh, yeah. Like that, okay. I'm pretty sure my eyeshadow is somebody's flag right now. All right, so I'm gonna pull it down below just a little bit to make sure that it fills in there. And my eyes are a little watery today, so that's gonna leak pretty quickly, but I love that. It's so perfect. I'm gonna try to do the same thing on this side. But if you've ever done your liner with liquid liner, you may be familiar with this concept of one of them looking amazing and the other looking terrible, and like they're not related, and like the same person couldn't have possibly done them. Happens to me all the time. All right, so we're just gonna pull this up a little bit. The only thing about this liner that I don't love, which is probably true for all liquid liner, is that if I get it in my eyeball, it hurts so much. All right, so I brought this one up just a little too high. So I'm gonna make it a little bit chunkier. I love it. I love it. All right, so let's see. Last but not least, is that true? Are we last but not least already? We did this glitter. I feel bad that I didn't do more glitter for my sweet Claire Bear. Maybe I will pick up just a little bit of So Precious and just dab it right up here. Yeah, perfect. Ooh, see? Okay, so that definitely has more orange shimmer to it, but because it's on top of the red, it almost looks like a pinky orange. All right, so that is So Precious, and it is a warm orange, yellow to green shifting glitter. Maybe it's all one size. I think that one actually might all be one size. I'm gonna put a little bit more because I think that's handsome. You know, just for fun, let's do a little in the cheekies. Seems like a good color for a highlighter inclusion, right? It's a little bit warm. All right, so now, last but certainly not least, wouldn't be a video if I wasn't knocking something over. I'm going to, let's see, take off a little bit of that Burt's Bees, and I'm going to go in with L'Oreal Infallible Pro Gloss in color Fiery. I don't know if I've used this one for a video before, but this is basically like a semi lip stain, and the base color of it is this really kind of bright pinky rose red. You can see how vibrant that is, but then it has a really, really subtle, soft gold shimmer, so it tones it down significantly. It does, of course, have that nice doe foot. So I'm going to start in the center and smudge it out, and then I'm going to use the doe foot to draw out the shape of the top of my lips, or my top lip there. So I'll do the bottom. See, it doesn't look anywhere near as bright as it looks like it would, because it's, I think because of how thin the actual color is, or the formula itself. And then I'll do this, and this, that, touched up a little bit. There's a little too much there. There we go. Oops, got a little on my teeth. All right, let me check real quick. I feel like I'm so far away from the camera to the right here. All right, let's take a look. I think I want just a tiny bit more color in my brow, and then I will be happy. And I'm gonna do it with Majestic. Ooh, I almost licked it. I have a little thing of water here. I don't need to do that. So I'm gonna wet my little thin brush here just a little bit in my little water cup, and pick up some of Majestic and go over this a little bit. There we go. Got to be careful not to get it where the glitter gel is again, because that will pick up the pigment in a strange way and it will stand out and not look pretty. I gotta fix that. There we go. Okay, I feel much better about this because it just feels a little bit brighter. I feel like it brings a little more attention to it, because I was worried that it was a little too dark and that it wouldn't stand out as being colored. Let's see. There we go. All right, let's put everything down and take my hair down and take a look. All right, this is nice. I think it could use a little bit of cleaning up in the crease there, but I think there's just something about the way I first applied it that's not gonna stick right there. So I'm gonna call it good, because this was kind of just a little experiment to see if I could do some fun colors and do a different look. So let's see. Take a look at the finished product. I love doing the colored eyebrows. That might be the new thing that I do for videos, because it's fun. And that's the whole point of makeup, right? I mean, it's not for a lot of people, but it's one of my favorite things. Is it's just fun. You get to explore and have a good time. So thank you very much for joining me on another makeup adventure. If there are any colors that you would like to see me try, or any looks that you think it would be fun to have a stab at and see what I would do, leave a comment and let me know. I'd be more than happy to check it out. Other than that, thank you again for joining, and have a great day. Bye.